Alright, this is going to be a harder video to make because I don't really have any actual structure or notes here. I'm just going to kind of freestyle this. I was thinking about stuff in my head I want to talk about, but I'll try and do my best to make it like somewhat structured and concise. But essentially I just want to talk about changes they can make to this game and things they're going to need to do if sunsetting is going to exist, essentially. So Beyond Light released, we got a new planet, new raid, one new strike. There's some good systems that they added in. I really like Legendary Lost Sectors and how they introduce the new exotics through them. It's like a pinnacle activity in a way, and I really like it. It's fun to grind, and it's good for grinding other exotics as well. And the Empire hunts are actually a good idea. So essentially they repurposed the campaign missions into this farmable activity that gives you high stat roll armor. The drop rates are a little crappy, and the stat rolls aren't as good as I'd like them to be. I think they should be a little bit higher on average. And I also like the idea of enhancement cores and enhancement prisms dropping. I don't really care about prisms though. I'd much rather see just large bundles of enhancement cores drop. And this all relates back to the topic of sunsetting. So essentially what they're doing now is after a few months, not a few months, after a few seasons, your gear sunsets. So this is the most updated armor you can have right now, and it will sunset at light 1410. So essentially this will last all the way up until the next fall DLC comes out, which is good. Anything you get in Beyond Light will last until the next fall DLC comes out. But the problems start to come in when you start to look deeper into the Armor 2.0 system in general, and how important masterworking armor is for both PvE and high-end PvP competitive activities. You need high stat rolls and good stat rolls to give yourself the best fighting chance against the enemy teams you're going up against. And when all your gear is constantly getting sunset and you have to constantly re-farm stat rolls, it gets very tedious and annoying. And I think what Bungie needs is another menagerie type situation where a lot of people think if Bungie gives us too much loot, we will get loot and get burnt out really quickly because we get our stuff fast and then we're done. That's what people thought would happen with Menagerie, because there was a glitch essentially where you could get like 4 to 5 drops of the same weapon and guaranteed like the masterwork on the weapon as well. So like if I want to get a Beloved with a ranged masterwork, I could slot that into a chalice and then I'd go in and I get like 5 of them. But what happens when you do that is, now that you're getting this massive quantity of loot, and loot that you specifically are trying to get, now you can seek out perfection within that role. So if I can farm out 5 Beloveds every time I do this activity, I'm not just gonna go in there, get some like snapshot roll and be okay with it. I'm gonna go in there and get every perk I want in every slot perfectly. I'm gonna get Hammer Forge, Accurize, Snapshot, Quick Draw, Range Masterwork, and I'm not gonna settle for anything else. And then the amount of time I need to spend in that activity increases to the same amount that if the activity was super rare drops and I got like 1 Beloved every once in a while, that obviously I'm going to settle for a worse stat roll if I'm barely getting Beloveds to drop. So the playtime ends up evening out, but overall you end up with better loot for yourself, which makes the game more enjoyable in other activities. So giving people a lot of loot isn't a bad thing, and sunsetting can really be a good thing that allows for an infinite grind of sorts, and a lot of people don't want that, but at the end of the day, video games are literally just worthless. You're just grinding for no actual reason. It's for your own enjoyment. So if you like Destiny, you like to grind, you like to get loot, you like to take it into PvP or PvE. That's the whole point of this game. So not giving us the loot we want and making it scarce de-incentivizes us to even play the game in the first place. So if you give us more loot, we can then grind out for even better loot to take into the activities, to enjoy the activities even more than we would be prior if we were just settling for lesser rolls and lesser stat rolls on armor. And that's what I want to get into here. The biggest problem with this game right now, Armor 2.0 has a lot of potential. I really like that they made some great quality of life changes by making all these mods just broad. They're on all element types. So before, like, Sniper Rifle Scavenger was only on void armor pieces, but now you can put that on any armor piece. It doesn't matter the element. The element only determines stuff in this slot essentially. And that was a huge change because that made armor more applicable no matter what the elemental role was, but there's still room to improve here. I think we just need everything in the game to drop at high stat rolls. Crucible armor, Gambit armor, Vanguard armor, it should all be dropping at high stat rolls. Maybe make it rare, a rare drop, or a rare-ish drop, but right now it's way too rare. Like, you can go to Shaxx and turn in 500 tokens and get like 162 stat roll and it will suck. That's not good enough. That's too much playtime invested with no actual return. Like, you can sit in Crucible and Strikes and you're not going to get anything. There's nothing on the table to grind for. If high stat roll gear was dropping from lots of activities, this game would just be so much more replayable. You could grind out Crucible matches. Like, I just want to be playing Crucible. I enjoy playing Crucible, even though there's no rewards behind it right now. I like sitting in Crucible. Like, the Reckoning had spare rations dropping. That activity sucked. No one liked it, really. But we grinded the living hell out of it, and every time a spare rations dropped at the end of that activity, we were so hype. Imagine if you could be playing Crucible or Strikes, which some people like them, some people don't, but imagine you're in Crucible, enjoying yourself, and on top of that, now good loot is dropping as well. So you're getting incentivized to enjoy the game. So, like, that would just be such a great change to just increase the high stat roll armor drops across the board. And I think just in general, vendors need like an overhaul of their entire loot table and the whole system. Tokens aren't satisfying to turn in. It's tedious and it takes a while. I would much rather just play activities in Strikes, Gambit, or Crucible and gain reputation with the vendor, and then they rank up like they did in Destiny 1. You go there, you collect a package. The process of like clicking and turning in tokens is just like this like extra step for no reason. I'd much rather get like rank ups at a slower rate but have the loot be better. I would like a huge vendor refresh. This DLC, I literally would have sacrificed getting Europa, the raid, and everything. I don't care about any of that. I would have much rather seen. I can't even imagine what if they just like refreshed every vendor, Trials, Iron Banner, Vanguard, Crucible, Gambit, and then they brought back all 3 factions as well, with full vendor refreshes, new armor sets for all of them. They can all roll high stat rolls, and a bunch of new weapons to like go after, and all like there was this whole refresh that would make every core activity more playable, because you can go in there now, and there's good loot on the table to get from it, and then you can take that into various activities, and enjoy it, and actually enjoy the game for a little while. And then they can spend the following seasons after that big vendor refresh adding in new activities to actually take these roles into high-end activities, such as a raid. I feel like that just would have been better, because right now it's like we got this new raid, there's a new destination, but there's nothing to actually do because there's no new weapons really to actually take into these activities. So like, a new raid doesn't feel as new if you're not taking brand new god rolls you've gotten into it. Like, there is some new options. The raid itself has good loot, but the Europa weapons are pretty weak. There's no new Vanguard, Crucible, or Gambit weapons. There's no new Trials weapons. They added in Adept weapons, which are a good idea, but they are limited by the entire gunplay system of Destiny, in that Icarus Grip is required to actually succeed in Crucible and in PvE, honestly, but in general, in Crucible, you need Icarus Grip to shoot people in the air, because this entire game doesn't have good in-air accuracy. If they made every weapon in this game at a base stat perform as well as weapons do now when they have Icarus Grip on them, this game will be opened up to another level. Exotics are actually like worse than legendaries in a lot of situations in Crucible, just because of the fact that they can't roll Icarus. Like, I'd much rather have a spare rations on with Icarus Grip than an Ace of Spades, because I can jump around with the spare rations and play height, and I can't do that with Ace of Spades. Like exotics are limited by the fact that they can't put weapon mods on. They should just open the weapon mod system up to exotics, take out Icarus Grip, and make guns more accurate in air, because then this new Adept mod system that they introduced becomes a lot more viable, because right now that's limited by the fact that you need Icarus Grip on a weapon, so I can't put an Adept mod on. I need to put Icarus Grip on so I can shoot in the air. I can't waste that mod slot on something else. But if guns were just accurate in the air as a base, now I can put on these Adept mods that I'm grinding through these pinnacle activities. Then that's just another area in the game that you can grind and seek out perfection. I think if they want to do sunsetting, the entire system of this game needs to be much more inflated. They need more loot coming in from all different activities, and they need better loot coming in from all different activities, so that even though our stuff's going away, we're getting it at a rate that is satisfying to us, and we can actually seek out perfection in our armor stat rolls and our weapon rolls instead of having to settle for less because we don't want to waste our time investing in something that's going to go away. The recording cut out there for a second, so pick up where I left off. I was talking about like not wanting to invest in activities that aren't rewarding us enough when stuff is sunsetting at this rate. So yeah, just in general, I would love to see in like season 15, factions are returning. And it doesn't even need to be a new armor set. The difference between a new weapon and say like a remastered weapon from D1 is almost non-existent. Like you get the nice feeling of nostalgia with the old remastered weapon, or the nice feeling of this is a new weapon when it's a new weapon. And they kind of equalize each other out, and it really just comes down to what is the new role, or the new potential roles. What archetype is this gun? Is it viable? And like I don't care. I'll grind out an Ice Luna as much as I would a new hand cannon, as long as both of those weapons are well rolled and have good stats. So like factions return and they just remaster all the old faction sets from Destiny 1. I don't care. Slap new perks on it, and a D1 old remaster armor set in the new Armor 2.0 system is just as fun to chase after as some new D2 armor set. And honestly, D2 armor looks kind of derpy. I don't like it as much. I love the look of D1 way better, so old D1 armor remastered is honestly better in my opinion, as far as fashion goes. So yeah, I don't care. Just bring in more loot. That would be so good. Just a full vendor refresh next fall, just across the board. Trials, Iron Banner, factions return, and overhaul of the whole loot system. I care about that more than a new destination. Obviously, you get all that new loot, and it would be nice to take it into new activities, a new raid. But I feel like if they can't do both, they gotta pick one, and I'd much rather have more loot, because right now this game feels very stale. Because even though there's a new activity, when there's no new loot to take into it, it really defeats the purpose. That's just my opinion though. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. That's essentially it though. Quick little rant, like usual. Yeah, I would just like to see more loot. Whether it be remastered loot, new loot, I don't care. I just want more loot in the game, and I want it delivered in the core playlists so that there's actually incentive to play in the core playlists other than just having fun in this game. Because if there was good loot dropping on top of having fun, that just makes this game all the better. I would love to just be in Crucible again and have that feeling of like an Ice Luna dropping and being hyped and wanting to check out the role. And I feel like Bungie's really just not trying to do that, and I don't know why, because they totally can. They have all the tools to do it, and we'll see what happens this fall in the future seasons. It looks like they're going to be remastering more stuff next season, which is nice. I hope the guns are good, and I hope the new 6 weapons, 2 for each core playlist that they're adding in, are also good. I'm excited though, and I hope they start making changes like this, but we'll see. Thank you.